Have you ever wished you had an eraser? Not for whiteboard, not for a pencil mistake on paper, but for life. An eraser for the things you said at the dinner table that you cannot take back. For the decision you made 10 years ago that still keep you up at middle of night from time to time. For the chapter you'd rather just skip. I have. More times than I'd like to admit. When I was young, I thought that feeling would go away with the age, that I'd grow wiser and more gracious, more peace and mind and heart. But here I am with more gray hair than I ever imagined. And some nights I still lie awake thinking, why did I say that? Why did I do that? That eraser never arrives. And I wonder if some of you know that feeling too. Not just the regret, something deeper. The quiet sense that your best years might be behind you. That the life where you were the main character, raising children, building career, leading and creating and making things happen, that life had somehow moved on without you. And now we are watching from the edge, waiting room, quiet afternoon, a phone that doesn't ring as often as it used to. It's not dramatic. It's ordinary. And that's what makes it so heavy. We don't talk about it much, but on Easter morning, of all mornings, maybe we should. Because if resurrection means anything, it should mean something for this ordinary heaviness most of us carry into this room today. What if the new start we are longing for is not somewhere ahead of us? What if it is not behind us either? What if it is already here and we are just looking in the wrong places? So let's turn to God's Word. Matthew tells us it was early after the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning. That in between hours, not quiet night, not quiet mornings, and two women, Mary Magdalene, the other woman, Mary, they went to see the tomb. Not to pray, not to hope, just to see, that's all. They were doing what we all do when someone we love is gone. We go back to the place where we last knew them to be. We visit the tomb. But then Matthew, who never does anything quietly, shake the ground. Literally, earthquake, the same word he used at the crucifixion. As if the earth itself couldn't hold still when God is acting. An angel descended, rolls back the stone, not to let Jesus out, because Jesus is already gone, but to show the witness that the tomb is empty. And the Roman guard, armed, trained, the empire's finest, they collapse. They became like a dead man. Think about that. The living became like a dead. At the exact moment, the dead became living. Then the angel speaks to the woman, "Do not be afraid. I know you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised. He is not here. You came looking for the dead, but you are in the wrong place. And what happens next is what I love the most. The woman lived, and Matthew says, with a fear and great joy. Not one, then others, both at the same time. That sounds so honest, doesn't it? Fear and a great joy. Have you ever been there? That place where you are terrified and hopeful in the very same breath. That's Easter, not the clean, tidy version, the real one. Then Jesus met them on the road, and his first word, the very first thing the risen Lord says in Matthew's gospel, do you know what it is? Kairete, kairete. In Greek, it means rejoice. But it was also the most common everyday greeting. Hello, I'm here. Good morning. The kind of things a neighbor says waving across from the street. The most extraordinary moment in human history opens with the most ordinary word. No lecture, no theology exam. Just a hello. I'm here. And then he tells them, go to Galilee. I'm going ahead of you there. Well, now, to understand why that matters, you need to know what Galilee means. Galilee was not Jerusalem. It was not the holy city. It was not the temple. It was not the center of the power and prestige. Galilee was the opposite. It was the region most people overlooked. Fishing village, smelly, and dirty road, a place where nothing important was supposed to happen. But it was exactly where Jesus first called his disciples, where he healed, where he taught, where it all began. So when the angel says go to Galilee, he's saying go back to the ordinary place, go back to where it all started. Not because nothing happened since then, but because the risen Lord is already there, waiting for you in the place you might think is too small, too ordinary, too far from the center to matter. The new start doesn't begin with understanding everything. It begins with a turning around from the tomb toward a place where life is already unfolding. So, about that eraser, I told you I have wished for one for whole life. Erase the mistake. Erase the painful moments, painful chapters. Start with a clean page, and maybe some of you came to church the Easter morning with a version of the same wish. Wouldn't it be nice to just start over? But here's what the angel did not say. Angel did not say to forget everything. The angel did not say it never happened. The angel says, go to Galilee. Go back to where it all began. Now, think about what that means. Going back to Galilee means walking the same road, but carrying everything you have lived through. The cross happened. The betrayal happened. The fear happened. The sleepless nights happened. None of it is erased. It's still there. But here's the miracle. None of it is the last word. Resurrection does not hand us an eraser. It hands us a new eye. New eye. When I first came to this country, I was so consumed with surviving, learning the languages, finding my place, working to build a life from nothing. That going back to Korea was something I couldn't even dream of. It took 17 years. 17 years. 17 years passed before I stepped onto the street of Seoul again. The same hill, so the same narrow alleys, the people climbing up and coming down just as they always had. Nothing had changed, and everything has changed because I had changed. I was seeing my old home with a new eye, my Galilee. And I think about this church. Some of you remember the pastor who served here for 10 years before me. I know the weight of that transition when I first walked through these doors. Nearly 3 years ago, I felt a comparison in the air. I couldn't erase that history. I shouldn't. But somewhere along the way, this place stopped being a tomb I was visiting, carrying what was lost, and started being a Galilee I was walking into, carrying what is possible. Not because the grief disappeared, but because I began to see life, and the life I am meant to live is not in the time that has passed. It is in the following the risen Lord who goes ahead of me. And friends, that's true for you too. Some of you feel like life has moved you to the edge. The years when you were building and leading and creating, those feels far away now. And Easter can feel like a holiday for people with more energy than you have left. But hear what the angel says. He did not say, go somewhere impressive. He said, go to Galilee. Go to the ordinary. Go to the place you think nothing important could ever begin. So your Galilee might be this very room. It might be a bowl of noodles shared with someone who walked in off the street. It might be the prayer you are afraid to pray out loud. It might be a neighbors you haven't spoken in a month. And when you get there, to that ordinary place, listen. Not for thunderclap, not for theological lecture. Listen for the simplest word. Kairete. Kairete. Hello, good morning. I'm glad you are here. That's the voice of the risen Christ. And it finds you not where you expect, but right where you are. The woman ran from the tomb that morning carrying fear and great joy. You don't have to choose one of them. You can carry both into the week. And so this morning, before we go, I want us to do something different. We usually say on Easter morning, Christ is risen. And then you respond, He is risen indeed, right? Those are beautiful words. But today, I want us to practice the very first word that the risen Lord spoke. I want us to turn to someone near us and simply say it. 가이랬대. Hello. Good morning. I'm glad you are here. Say it. And mean it. Because when you do, you are speaking with the voice of the risen Christ. And the new start is not behind you. It's already here. So go in peace and walk into your Galilee. 가이랬대. Shall we say it again? 가이랬대. 가이랬대. Hello. I'm glad you are here. Yes. Easter people. 가이랬대.